Hi all, welcome to my channel Chadvari Talks. Today we will be seeing a new concept in SQL. Before starting the video, I would request you all to please subscribe the channel and share and like the video if it really helpful for you, because I see this number of subscribers are very low. Only I'm getting a viewers. It would be a great help for me. Thank you. So let's see today's concept of functions in SQL. So we will try to see what are the different functions that are available and how do we use these functions for our daily data engineering work in our real-time projects. We will try to see the different categories of functions that we are using in SQL. Irrespective of the database you work, as I mentioned previously, either you're working with the Oracle, SQL Server, or big data databases like Hive, Impala, and cloud databases like BigQuery, RDS, Azure SQL, Synapse, irrespective of or Snowflake even. So irrespective of the database, the functions which we are seeing is unique across all your database oriented platform. So how do we categorize the functions in SQL? So we categorize the functions in SQL into three categories like aggregate functions, intermediate functions, and analytical functions. And we also call these analytical functions as a window functions. So we will try to see why we call them as window functions in our upcoming slides. So let's start with our aggregate functions. For what set of requirements we would be using these aggregate functions, and we will try to see everything in detail. So what are aggregate functions? So when you wanted to do any sort of aggregations or calculation for those kind of a requirement, you would be using these aggregate functions. So if you see the slide over here, I have listed a set of aggregate functions like sum, average, minimum, maximum, and count. Let us take you have a company. Within that company, if you wanted to know whether it is like for a manufacturing company or like your banking related organization or anything, like even for a normal company, so you would be having an employees who will be paying minimum salary and maximum salary. Mostly like CEO would be getting a maximum salary. Even there are some circumstances even CEO would be taking a lower than the other employees. So how do we get a maximum salary? What is a minimum salary? And what are the how many people are present in the organization, or how many products are we are manufacturing for a particular period of time? For all these kind of calculations, we would be using aggregate functions. So if you see the list I have listed here, all these functions either knowingly or unknowingly you will be using it in your daily work. For example, when you are talking about a banking product, you yourself might be having a account. If you wanted to know the overall amount spent by you on a particular month or a week, you would be doing a summation $10, $20, $30, $40, $50. The overall amount, okay, I have spent overall this much amount in a particular week. So you will be planning your expenses accordingly. Similarly, your average. When you see, right, like sometimes we will be getting subsidies and some benefits. So if your average consumption is this much, you would be paying only this much amount. If your average consumption is more than that, you would be paying more amount. So what is average? It is sum of the numbers by number of numbers. So you need not to do a sum calculation and a total calculation and then do an aggregation here. The function is already available. So if you wanted to know like the average units you are consumed related to your electricity or your water kind of a thing, you can directly use this aggregate function. And minimum value. As I mentioned, like when you consider a population in a country or in a state, okay, in which particular city we have minimum population, in which country, particular city we have maximum population within a state. If you wanted to do that kind of calculations, we would be using these functions. And count. If you wanted to know the count of employees, how many people are present, or how many products which manufactured in a particular month or a period or overall, for those kind of requirements also we would be using this count function. We will try to see everything in detail in a practical session. Just I'm going through an overview now. Now next important thing is intermediate functions. So intermediate functions will be playing an important role when you're working on a ETL related work. So what is ETL? As you might be knowing on data engineering, I'm not explaining now ETL concepts, but people who are new or if they are not having any proper understanding of ETL, extract, transform, load means you will be taking a data, you would be changing the data. Transformation is nothing but a change. You would be changing the data and you will be putting the data into some location where people can use it for their requirements. For those kind of requirements, like wherever you wanted to do the transformation or changing of the data, you would be using this intermediate functions. So I have listed only few functions just to make you to get an idea how these functions would be using in our daily data engineering world. There are n number of functions and these functions differs from database to database. It's not like unique across all the databases, but the functions which I'm showing you, it's unique. There are some functions which would be differ from one database to another database. For example, let us take a function called as position. Position supports in some databases, it will not support in some other databases. So there are some functions like LPAD, RPAD, like if you remember your checks, within your checks, when you give $10, the left hand side of your check would be having stars or asterisks or dollar, some characters would be there. That is called as padding. So some functions, those kind of functions are supported in some databases, are not supported in some other databases. But the particular slide which I'm showing you will be uniquely supported across all the databases. When you do your practice in any of your databases, you can take these functions and you can give a try. It will 100% work for you. Now the first function is length. Suppose if you wanted to find length of a particular field, you can use this length function. Now the question comes, where do I use length function? Yes, for example, when you're trying to build an application, so in that application you might be having your date of birth, you're having a phone number. Irrespective of where you're working across the world, phone number will be having only 10 digits. So you need to have your 10 digits only. You cannot have more digits. Please ignore your country code and your state code. Normally, you would be having a phone number of only 10 characters. For those kind of requirements, you can use your length function and you can verify, okay, if it is more than 10 characters, it is an incorrect number. Means the person might have entered wrong or he is not properly giving. That's the reason when you're filling your applications, you will be getting some alerts or it will be giving you some errors that invalid characters or expect like this is expected more characters or it is only taking 10 characters. That kind of alerts you will be getting it because of these validations which runs at the backend. For those kind of requirements, you can use your length function. Similarly, your year can have only 4 characters. You cannot have 4 digits. Strictly to say that 4 digits, you cannot have. If you're giving 10 digits for a year, it will not take up. So either it should be like 1, 2, 3, Y. So 4 Ys means 4 digits only can be present in an year. Lower. So lower is sometimes people would be entering uh, like when the caps on is not on or if the people is not aware of how to use these words. So they keep on entering the characters in your lowercase or in uppercase. So for those kind of requirements, either to convert from uppercase to lowercase, you can use lower. From lowercase to uppercase, you can use upper. I have listed both the functions and I will be showing you practically how these functions will work on your SQL queries. Next is substring. Substr is nothing but substring, means extracting a part of the string. For example, your email IDs are there. So sometimes what happens in your companies, you would be having your first name, some character, your last name at the rate of your domain name will be there. Suppose if I wanted to, I don't know your name, but I wanted to retrieve the information from that email address only. For those kind of requirements, I can use the substring operation. I can tell, okay, this is my starting position, this is my ending position, and I want only these number of characters between them. Then you can retrieve to me. For those kind of requirements, you would be using the substring operations. I will show you practically with an example how this works. Replace. Sometimes what happens is that like people will be entering some unwanted characters into the data. even when you get the data from different the social media data or your chat data. So people will give different expressions. But in the backend system, when you're trying to store, you cannot have those characters to be stored there. So if you wanted to replace them, even if you are getting some X and if you wanted to replace with Y, you can do that. We will try to see how this replace function also will work in our SQL queries. Next is trim. Trim means what everyone knows, like trim is to remove. Similarly, what in SQL queries also, when you have extra spaces, trim is used to remove those extra spaces either on the left hand side of the string or right hand side of the string. We would be using this trim function to remove the extra spaces. When you wanted to put the data without any spaces, you will be using the trim function. Please note that trim will not remove the space between the words. For example, you have your first name, like you have Ram space John. It will not remove the space between Ram and John. It will remove the spaces before Ram and after John. That for those kind of requirements only trim will be used. We will try to see how the functionalities work practically in our practical session. Next important is analytical functions. So analytical functions, I already mentioned, we also called it as window functions. So I have listed the basic analytical window functions which we would be using in our daily life when you're working on a data engineering project, like row number, lag, lead, rank, dense rank. There is a big difference between rank and dense rank. I will try to cover that separately, but today in the practical session, I will show you for what set of requirements you would be using row number, what is lag and what is lead. Row number is to give a unique number for the matching criteria. You will define a criteria, you will define a window. That is the reason we will be calling this as window functions also. So you would be specifying a window and you will apply the criteria to give a unique number for that matching criteria. For example, for each and every record in a department, if you wanted to give a number, you can give using a row number function. I will try to show you how this row number function works on your data. Lag is to get the previous occurrence of a record. So you have a current record and what is the previous value of it. For those kind of requirements, you would be using lag. And if you wanted to get the next occurrence of the record, you would be using lead. Lead means next occurrence. Lag means previous occurrence. For the current record, what is your next record? You would be using lead. What is your previous record? You would be using lag. Now your question comes, where I can use this? Yes, especially when you're working on payments. If you wanted to check what is your previous payment and what is your next payment, for those kind of requirements, you can use this lag and lead functions. And in an organization, if you wanted to estimate your salary hikes, now your salary is $100. What is your before salary, whether you got any hike or not? If you got a hike, what's percentage of hike I can give you for the next year? Even for those kind of requirements also, you would be using this lag and lead functions. Rank and dense rank is also for ranking the data, but there is a slight difference because rank will not consider gapping, whereas dense rank will consider gapping. We will try to see those functions in detail in our next videos. Now let's go ahead and see the practical session of these functions. So let's start with our aggregate functions. I'm trying to bring up my database. So let's go and see the database. I'm bringing up the database here, which we have an active database. So we are going to a SQL editor. So I'm just increasing the font here so that it will be visible to you very clearly. Now let's query our people's table, what we have it. So we will try to see the data in the people's table. Now we have the data. Now, as I was mentioning, like we have functions like sum, max, min, count, average for aggregate functions. Now we will try to see how we can apply these functions. Now we have different state codes here. Now if I want to get the overall quiz points for each and every state, there I can use an aggregate functions. So I'll try to see if the gear, because I want for each and every state I have said, that's what I have to do, grouping. So we have seen how to use group by in our previous videos. If not, please watch my previous video. We'll try to see how to use group by. So I'm doing group by state and I wanted to get the count of records. First I'm using count. So here I will try to get for each and every state how many records are there. You can see. So for Alaska, we have only one record. For Arizona, we have 19 records. For California, we have 120 records. Now, I don't want the count. I want the minimum story quiz points. So for each and every state, these are the minimum, like for Alaska, the minimum quiz points are 20. And for California, the minimum quiz points are 10. And for Michigan, the minimum story quiz points are 10. So it differs from state code to state code. In that way, you can get your minimum value. And if you wanted to see the maximum also, you can add a maximum and you can get your maximum story points also. Yeah, I'm just giving the query here. You can see I'm maximizing it. And I'm giving the maximum story also here along with the minimum quiz points. Now let's try to run the query. Now you can see I got the minimum quiz points and maximum quiz points also. If I wanted to do a summation, I can get a sum also. I can give sum and I can give the quiz points. Means how many quiz points are there for each and every state. See, now I have total of, now for Alaska, I have around 20 only. That's minimum. It's only one record is present. That's what the minimum is also 20. The maximum is also 20 and the total is also 20. So for some state codes, the minimum is 10 and maximum is 100. But the overall means there are some ranges between the minimum and maximum, but the overall is this. So these are the total points that are available. If I want to do an average, even I can use average also, and I can give that average quiz points. You can see I got even average also. So in that way, I can calculate my aggregated values. So here I have taken count, I have tested, I have shown you how to get a minimum value, how to get a maximum value, how to get a total value, and how to get an average value. So it's not mandatory that all these functions will be used in our requirement. So based on your requirement, you can use the related functions in any of your database related queries where you're working to get a minimum value or a maximum value or your average value. Now let's go and see our intermediate functions. I hope aggregate functions are clear for you. Let's go to intermediate functions. Again, I'm going to the same people's table. I'm removing the group by clause and I'm running the query. Now in the intermediate functions, we have shown you like we have discussed about length function, upper value, lower, substring, replace and trim. Now we will try to see each of them in detail. Now let's try to get a length function. Now if you have seen in the people's table, we have a first name, last name, city and company. If I wanted to know how many characters are present in the city, for those kind of requirements, I can use length function and I can get the characters. Now city is the actual city value that is present in the database, and length function will try to give the number of characters, means the overall length of that particular field. Now you can see Los Angeles is of 11 and Riverside is 9, Wilmington is 10, New York City is 13. So in this way you can find your length of your characters. Now if you have seen city, there are some like camel case, lowercase and uppercase in between. Now if you want everything in uppercase, you can use the upper function. You can check, even though Los Angeles is of camel case, like the starting letter is capital and the remaining characters are of lowercase, everything is now made it to uppercase. Now if I want everything in lowercase, I can use a lower function. You can check I have got everything in lowercase. If I want it in upper, I can convert it to uppercase. If I want it in lowercase, I can convert it to lowercase. Now, the other important function which we discuss is substring. Now, out of this city, if I want to take only 3 characters, first 3 characters, for those kind of requirements, we can use substring function. So let's see how to use substring function here. So substring function is substr, and I'm giving the city starting of the position from the first character. I want only 3 characters, means 1, 2 and 3. Totally I want 3 characters. Now you can run this function, you will be getting the output. You can see I got only 3 characters out of it. Now it's not mandatory always you have to give only one. You can give any position. Now I will start with position 4 and I want 3 characters. Now if I have from position 4 is A, so I'll get 3 characters from there. You can see. So substring function takes the syntax is in the field what you wanted to get the data from, and the starting position and number of characters. Next is replace. So we will try to take company here as an example. So let me try to add company also. So I'm trying to replace hyphen character in company with @. So wherever I have hyphen, I will replace with @. Now let's try to run this query. Now if you see the data, so this is our transformer data. We have a hyphen here. You can check. We have hyphen here and it is replaced with @. We have hyphen here. It is replaced with @. We have hyphen here. It is replaced with @. It's not always hyphen. You can give any character. So this is the character what you wanted to replace, and which character you wanted to replace has to be given. Trim is also same thing. Trim will try to remove the spaces. Just you can give trim and the field name. It will try to remove the before spaces and after spaces in that particular string. Now if you see, it will not give you any output because it will just remove the spaces and it will give you the transformed output. For a normal naked eye, you can see everything is similar before. If there are spaces, you will try to see the differences. I hope intermediate functions are clear to you. Let's go to analytical functions. And if you remember, I was telling you, you can also practice your SQL from online editor. I will try to show you how to use online editor now. So I'm going to online editor. I have a table. You can use this link and you can see there are 3 tables that are inbuilt available to you: customer table, order table and shippings table. Now let's try to use a customer table for our analytical functions requirement. Now we have the data, customer ID, first name, last name and age, country. Now I will try to explain you here how to use a row number function. So row number function, we will try to give a unique number for each and every country. Now we have 3 countries, USA, UK and UAE. I will try to give a ranking for USA and a ranking for UK and UAE. How to use an analytical function we will try to see. Now I'll be using here a row number function. Row underscore number. I'm trying to increase the font for you. If I increase the font, it is not coming. Bear with me. Over partition by country, order by country. Even you can check it like ascending or descending also, you can specify it, but I'm taking the default ascending order. Now what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to create a new column that is like a rank column, and I'm giving a number for each and every record and for each and every country. Now let's try to run this query. The query got executed. You can check now UAE is come first because after everything is U. Now we try to arrange it in alphabetical order, which is an ascending order. Now A comes first, that's what it has taken UAE. UAE is having only one record, that's what the rank is 1 here. Now let's take next records are UK records. UK is having 2 records. Now out of the 2 records, it's tried to arrange it based on the country code. For the first record, it has given 1, and for the second record, it has given 2. And similarly for US also, it has given for the first record 1 and for the second record 2. Now your question comes, if you see the data, for UK, we have 22 as 1 and 25 as 2. But for US, 31 is got as 1 and 32 we got as 2. That you cannot judge because we did not take an age as a criteria. If you wanted to arrange on basis of age, then it will try to arrange the data accordingly. You can take order by country and age also. Then it will try to arrange the data based on the age. Now you can see even for this also we got 1 and 2, and for US also we got 1 and 2. In this way also, based on your criteria, based on your window, on what window you specify, the ranking of the data will be arranged accordingly in your data transformations when you write your SQL queries. Now the other functions which we have discussed is lag and lead. I will try to show even those records also how to use it. Now we have one more table which is like a shippings table. We will try to see how to use it. Now we will be going to the shippings table. Now you can see we have a shipping ID, we have status, and we have a customer. Now, if I wanted to generate a new shipping number, I should know my current shipping number. For those kind of requirements, I can use lag function to know my previous shipping number, lead function to my next shipping number. Now let's try to see, just if I will check whether my next shipping, because we don't know, right? When you put an orders, the orders keep on coming. If I wanted to check for the current record, whether I'm getting any new record or not, or what is my previous record. In that way, a kind of requirements, you can use this analytical functions, lag and lead. We will try to see both in detail. Now for this particular record, we will try to see what is a lag record and what is a leak record. Now I'm taking the alias for this shipping table as A, and I am giving the lag value first. Lag, what is the number I want? Shipping ID over order by shipping ID only. This is my previous value. Similarly, I'll be using a lead function, shipping ID over order by my shipping ID. This is my next value. So in the previous row number function, if you have seen, after over, I have given partition by class. Partition is to divide the data. There we have country. That's what we have divided the data accordingly. Here we don't have any product level kind of a thing. That's what I'm not using it. But still you can give a partition by class and you can use your lag and lead function. Now let's try to run the output. Now you can see the query got executed and you got a result. For this particular ship, there is no shipping ID, there is no previous record. That's what it was blank. But for this particular shipping ID, we got a next record, which is 2. You can see next value is 2. And for 2, we have previous record as 1 and next record is 3. And similarly for 3, the previous record is 2, next record is 4. For 4, the previous record is 3, next record is 5. And for 5, the previous record is 4. We don't have any more records in the database. That's what the next record is null. In this way, we would be using our lag and lead functions to compare For the existing record, what is the previous value and what is the next value. So based on your requirements, you can use these functions accordingly in your data engineering projects. I hope functions in SQL is clear to you. Thank you for watching my video, and please share your comments and like and share my video. Thank you. Let's see in the next upcoming video.